very much, Stephen. And I'd like to also say thank you to our two virtual gatekeepers, Mike and Amelia, our Trust Secretary, who have made today's event possible and opened the gateway to this inaugural Gatekeeper online hub. Exciting times indeed. You've got me live, so I don't know what might happen, so hopefully this will all work out. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn how to connect to each other and to the land in new ways, even when we're not able to meet in person. Using our innate skills of intuition, instinct, and imagination, we are able to focus our loving intent wherever we are guided so to do. In my case, as well as focusing on my own personal landscape and building a deeper relationship with it, I've been drawn back to the Wiltshire white horses by invitation, perhaps from the land itself, but more specifically from the owners of the land on which one of the horses stands. I'll keep you in suspense a little bit longer on that. I see the network of 9 horses as an interconnected energetic grid, landmarks in their own areas, marked out over time by our ancestors, one dating back 3 millennia, which is the Uffington horse in the top right-hand corner. The story so far. Next slide, please, Mike. My journey with the white horses began in 2017 when 3 riders and their mounts came together to pilgrimage around the 9 white horses of Wiltshire and Uffington. The collaboration was instigated by artist and pilgrim Caro Woods, who's got the yellow band on her riding hat. She gathered together friends drawn to the Michael and Mary energy lines who had an openness of heart and mind. I was ground crew and anchor and spent time with each of the horses while the others rode between them. We had many synchronistic experiences during the way and got to know ourselves more deeply during the 2 weeks journey. It was 2 years later that the creative ideas aroused by the pilgrimage finally came together and on public display in the White Horse Bookshop Gallery in Marlborough. Caro showed her drawings, video work, and the prayer banner her horse Tommy had worn throughout the ride. Sophie created porcelain horse cups and painted with earth pigments. I showed photographic artworks inspired by the connection with the horses and turned chalk and flints into future fossils. It was wonderful to be able to share our responses to the horses with the local Marlborough community, to be the visual storytellers of tales of the white horse. It felt like Journey's End. However, the horses had further missions for us. Caro went on to teach the artist as pilgrim at Marlborough College's summer school, and I proposed a horse scouring workshop that did not, in fact, go ahead as not enough participants came forward. I believe it was the right intent and place, but not the right time. You can see from these chalk outlines that the Marlborough horse on the right of the image was beginning to disappear through lack of maintenance. I felt disappointed, but accepted the situation. I continued to think of the horse and wish for its restoration. This reverence or honouring of horses is not new. The horse has been associated with divinity and with the sun for many, many generations. The Trundholm sun chariot, dated 1400 BC, shows a horse pulling the chariot of the sun across the sky by day and into the underworld at night. In Paleolithic times, the horse was a symbol of connection between the everyday world and the afterlife. Epona, the goddess of horses and fertility, was worshipped by Celts, and Belinus, the Norse sun god, was also associated with horses. The sun wheel is shown with horses on many ancient coins, the sun and the wheel appearing on the ground and in the sky as the sun turns the day. Next slide, please. I also wanted to say, sorry for the last slide, that white horses are an old symbol of Britain, of sovereignty and strength, and they embody the power of thought, perhaps an interesting archetype of as Albion envisages its future. So I'm indebted to Hamish Miller for his discovery of the Michael and Mary energy lines, which snake through the Wiltshire landscape, through Amesbury and the Sanctuary before dividing. The Michael line takes a southerly course to Lockridge Dean and on through the Marlborough Mound, where legend has it Merlin is buried. This is a contemporary earthwork with Salisbury Hill, thus an important marker in the Wessex landscape. Equally remarkable is the work of David Furlong, who identified the double circle of sacred sites in Marlborough Downs with the pattern of the King's Chamber from the Giza Pyramid in Egypt in the Vesica Pisces along Hamish Miller's Michael alignment. You'll notice I've marked Marlborough's position as I believe it to be significant. Marlborough is also sited just below the ancient Wainsdyke path connecting Savernake Forest to Bristol Channel. So it's been significant for a long time. So to help you locate the White Horse hill figures on the ground, this map shows the position of currently visible horses in red. The blue and green horses are now lost. 2 have been replaced by newer ones at Pewsey and Devizes, the youngest horse, which was created to mark the millennium in 1999. You will no doubt have guessed that the horse that's been calling for assistance is the Marlborough horse, which is in danger of disappearing under the turf. I was very surprised and delighted to be contacted by the head gardener of Marlborough College, asking if I would still be interested in organising a community scouring of the horse. The first lockdown delayed a visit to see the current state of the horse, but as soon as I was able, I went down to see it. And you can see from the photos that it's in need of a lot of TLC. It is slowly disappearing. The Marlborough White Horse was cut in 1804 by the boys from Mr. Greasley's Academy in the town, designed by pupil William Canning. It was maintained on a yearly basis initially, but scouring has often lapsed during its history and its shape has changed over time. You can see on the right that the horse is slowly disappearing. The last time the horse was weeded and scoured was by the Marlborough 2nd Scouts in 2001, so it's definitely due an overhaul. So, how to learn to scour a chalk hill horse when you've never done it before? You need to learn from those who've gone before and those who are currently actively doing this practice today. I made contact with those responsible for the 2 nearest horses, Alton Barnes and Cheryl, which are both maintained by local residents. They were extremely willing to help and share their knowledge. Fortunately, I was able to visit the Alton Barnes horse and help with some maintenance in May this year as lockdown lifted. The horse was scoured in August 2019 by local school children and their parents. Bags of chalk were transported using a Chinook helicopter, which was a novel way of moving the 150 tons required. The chalk used to be lowered in old tin baths. Hand tools were used to cut back the edges and weeds were pulled. Special precautions were taken regarding social distancing. You can see there are only just a few of us working on the site. The head ranger at Uffington was also extremely helpful, offering advice and support. This horse is on a very different scale, and volunteers are overseen and well organised, although it is important to the National Trust that volunteers enjoy the experience and learn about the horse and its history. This drone shot on the right was to show how social distancing could take place, but in fact the scouring has been postponed until next year. So this is how the scouring used to be at Uffington, a very earthy experience. A traditional festival known as the pastime was laid on by the landowner at each scouring. The cleaning and repairing of the horse was accompanied with refreshments and traditional entertainments, such as backsword play, grinning through a horse collar, and downhill racing after cheeses. I don't think plans at Marlborough College are quite as ambitious, but it is hoped the horse will be restored next year by the pupils and community volunteers will be sought if conditions allow. The chalk has been sourced, the logistics sorted, the equipment needed identified, the community outreach prepared, but what of the horse itself? how to unearth its shape and restore it mindfully. I had a strong sense the horse itself wanted to be involved and knew I needed to connect with it through drawing to get to know it better. Using aerial photographs, which give a different perspective, and previous drawings from Guy Underwood and Maurice Marple, the horse slowly revealed itself. I was able to overlay the shape of what could be with what is evident at present, so Marlborough College now has a blueprint with which to proceed. The task is now in their hands and hopefully will be undertaken early next summer. This has been a 3-year project, but I wanted to show how simple creative acts can be in the form of noticing, a way of connecting and honouring the land, of bringing joy and light into our lives to heal both the land and ourselves. We can use expressive arts and creative inspiration to link to the land, even when we can't visit it. This might be through poetry, through sound or dance, building mandalas, painting or drawing. It may be revisiting old photos and memories of place, using visual cues to distant connect to the spirit of place. The Wheel of Life meditation model models this collaborative and creative way of linking to the land and to each other. As we move towards the shorter stay, we know the light will return. It is a time to be grounded and grateful, to take stock and reflect. It seems an important time to create new positive visions for the future. However you go out into the landscape, your local sacred spaces of woodland, hill, river, or urban landmarks, take your inner light with you and be open to receiving wisdom, healing, and joy. Thank you all.